Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today it is Season 1, Episode 12, Santa Claus and the 10th Avenue Kid, starring Barry Fitzgerald as Harold Stretch Sears and Virginia Gregg as Miss Webster. And this is a little bit of a change of pace episode for the show. It is a sentimental holiday episode, and in that way it's kind of a special episode. And this is one of those episodes where I could see some people really loving it if you like this sort of thing, and other people not really getting much out of it at all. And I think both points are fair, as I'm kind of in the middle, kind of neutral to this episode. So we start with our main character, and I'll just call him Mr. Sears, and he chats with Miss Webster, and we find out he's a man on parole. And throughout the episode, he will say some funny lines in his head to give us his thoughts, and most of these are pretty amusing and work well. And also of note here is that he obviously needs a job, and Miss Webster says it's hard to find jobs, especially around this time of year, but she finds him a job, and we find out that he will be Santa Claus at a local store. So we go to the next scene where Mr. Sears is in the store, and he's naturally not too happy about this, and he's complaining about it. And we meet the store manager at this point, and he seems like a pretty typical store manager. He has a pretty pleasant demeanor, but he also wants to push his products, which I thought was pretty funny. At this point, he basically tells Mr. Sears the job, and he also catches Mr. Sears trying to stealing some items that he has stuffed in his suit, and Mr. Sears says he was just trying to look bigger and he didn't have a pillow, which I thought was one of the funnier parts of the episode. So basically the kids start coming in, and at first things aren't going too great. Sears is kind of too crabby to be a Santa Claus. He's not really relating well, but eventually a few of the kids warm up to him, and you could see that he's at least good at faking it at this point, if nothing else. So things are just kind of going so-so. Then things change a little bit as a kid who, I'll just say, he's not too nice at this point, comes in. He's kind of crabby. He's actually a lot like Mr. Sears at this point, and this will be significant later in the episode as we find out this kid's not really buying into the whole Santa Claus thing. So the day ends, and Sears is kind of relieved, but he runs into Miss Webster conveniently, who wants to take him back to the shelter, and he feels he's being set up by her, and they're chatting in the cab, and Mr. Sears is just complaining, and at this point Miss Webster gets kind of upset. She basically says she can get that way too, and she kind of puts Sears in his place a little bit. This scene was okay. So we move forward in time. I'm guessing a few days, maybe a week. I'm not really sure, but we find out it's Mr. Sears' last day as Santa Claus, and he's pretty happy about this. He basically figures he'll get paid and he'll be able to get on with things. He won't have to deal with Miss Webster anymore. So we get a medley of him with some other kids. This was okay, I guess, and you can tell he's doing okay in this job. Then when he goes to get paid at lunchtime, he gets a note from Miss Webster. She says she knows how tempting things can be this time of year. She basically takes his check, and she says she opened him a bank account with it. So Miss Webster has a few of her own tricks up her sleeve, which was pretty good. Sears is not happy about it, and his attitude changes on his last half day with the kids, and you can tell he's pretty crabby at this point. And I guess we can't completely blame him. Miss Webster was a little bit smarter than he thought. So he's ready to leave and be done, and he notices the not nice kid basically come back in, and he notices the kid has taken some stuff because he was in that line of work, and he can just tell. And the kid's talking pretty much without a lot of hope, and he's talking about the model plane that's in the store that he really wants, and Sears can really kind of relate to this kid, which makes sense, and he tells the kid that he'll give him the plane, but only if the kid gives back what he stole, which he basically does. And he then tells the kid not to steal because he could wind up in a lot of trouble, and you can just really tell that Sears feels for this kid, but he's not sure what he's going to do because he doesn't have any money, and he basically promised this kid the plane. So at this point, he actually does take the plane and gives it to the kid, which seems a little extreme, but I guess it makes sense in the context of the episode. But of course he gets caught as soon as he gets out from the kid's apartment. The police come and they take him away. They're basically ready to book him when our friend Miss Webster comes in, and she says it's a misunderstanding. She said she had all of Mr. Sears' money. He meant to pay for the plane, but he just couldn't because he didn't have the money. So Sears says he gave it to the child, and he agrees to pay for it and also to give back the Santa Claus suit. So basically it's a happy ending. He winds up Stuck with Miss Webster, but he doesn't seem to mind too much anymore as he calls her fully rehabilitated. So a typical sentimental holiday episode. Not much else to really say about it, good or bad. It's just kind of okay. Like I said, some people may love it, others not so much, and I give Santa Claus and the 10th Avenue Kid a 2.5 out of 5. Just an average episode for me, but opinions may vary greatly. So 2.5 out of 5 for Santa Claus and the 10th Avenue Kid, and as always, thanks for watching.